Oh, hello there. It's Johnny V from Real World News 24/7. I got a great story for you here, especially pertinent if you're a trucker or were. It's a report through RT, and the video is pretty wild. So, anyway, apparently 4,000 people die a year from truck crashes, and over 100,000 are also injured. And they do a pretty good job of going over the reasons in this video, but there's some things that aren't really true in there. And some of them, she talks about the trucks going 85 miles an hour and over. That's definitely stretching it. The ability to drive past normal time, that's a whole other thing too. And they don't talk about the pay. The pay needs to be higher. I'm going to talk about all this at the end of the video, but I just want to give you a rundown of what it entails and stuff like that. So without any further ado, here's the video, and stay tuned afterwards for the commentary, and then leave me your thoughts, comments, stuff like that below, and I can respond to you. Okay? Thanks, and we'll see you after the video.
Nearly 4,000 Americans are killed every year in accidents involving 18-wheelers, but we only hear about these accidents if they happen to involve a celebrity. The stories that aren't told of families that have been killed by truck drivers, children who've lost their parents, or parents who lose their children, those stories aren't told. And the problem is that most of these accidents could have easily been avoided. In addition to the 4,000 people killed each year, an average of 100,000 people are seriously injured in accidents involving large trucks that often weigh over 40 tons each. The number of accident deaths and crippling injuries could be reduced if it weren't for the strain that corporations put on their truck drivers. According to the data, at least 13% of these trucking accidents are due to driver fatigue. To put it simply, the drivers were simply too tired to function properly behind a wheel of a 40-ton vehicle that's traveling down the highway at speeds of 80 miles an hour. And more, most often more than that. And the reason that these drivers are fatigued is because it's nearly impossible deadlines that they're put under. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration sets rules for how long truckers can drive in a day. Before drivers even start a shift, drivers have to take 10 consecutive hours off of duty totally. Once they get behind the wheel, they can drive for no more than 8 straight hours before stopping for at least 30 minutes. All told, within a 14-hour shift, only 11 hours can be spent behind the wheel. But of course, the corporations that hire truck drivers want to make as much money as possible, and the longer their goods stay on the highway, the longer it takes them to make their profit. What we've learned in the last few years is that many employers are encouraging drivers to work beyond the legally set time limits, or to forego their 10-hour restart completely in exchange for financial rewards. For example, drivers might be offered bonus pay if they deliver their loads in a shorter amount of time than projected, which encourages drivers to risk their lives and the lives of everyone else on the road around them. On top of that, even drivers who take the legally required hours off before beginning a shift can fall victim to driver fatigue. Due to the fact that many drivers are considered contractors and therefore not covered under a corporate insurance plan, disorders can cause disrupted sleep patterns. Often they go undiagnosed, preventing drivers from giving their bodies the proper rest they need.
Okay, so I hope you got something out of that video. I'd like to also say that there is a lot more to that video. I'm going to put a link down below this for full video, so you can check the whole thing out if you want to. There's a lot of things involved in that video. I don't want to unpack everything. I'm just going to go over a couple things that I talked about in the beginning. The first one is about the tragic death of Tracy Morgan. He was a great actor, probably a really good person. I don't know him personally, but I'm sure he was, and has billions or millions of friends or whatever. So that's definitely a tragedy, and my condolences go out to the family and friends and all that. So, okay, but I digress. They talked about 85 miles per hour in the video, and that's not exactly accurate. Okay, I mean, I don't know of any place you can go 85 miles an hour legally with a truck, except for maybe out in the desert. I don't know. I'm not sure of that, but I live in Pennsylvania, and the speed limit is tops 70 miles an hour, I believe, or 65. Okay, so, and there's also GPS on 95% of the trucks out there, I'd say. Don't quote me on that, but they track how fast the trucks are going, and if the company finds out you're speeding, they pull you into the office and say, "Hey, look at you need to slow down, or you're out, one or the other." They don't allow that, so they find a little bit of untruth in that statement there, hyperbole. The next thing I was thinking about was the ability to drive past the normal time. That's another thing that they were talking about in there, and paper logs and all that. A lot of the bigger companies now don't have that. You can't do that. They have electronic logs, and they're actually connected to the ignition system of the truck. So when you sign into that electronic log, it logs you in, and what happens is times you're driving and times what you're doing and stuff like that. And at the end of a certain amount of time, depending upon what log setting you're at or what hours you're at, the truck will actually shut down. So you have to be parked and everything before that thing shuts down, because once it does, it won't start back up for another, I think, 10 hours. So that's what most of them have now. So that's one good safety feature. But the real problem is that it's hard to drive a truck. I drove a truck personally for almost 5 years, and you might think it's easy just sitting there driving along, but after a while, it gets really, really monotonous. Okay, everything looks the same, and it's really tough, especially if you're driving a stick shift, because you're constantly shifting up and down and stuff like that. So there's a lot of fatigue that goes along with the job, for sure. A lot of stress people put out in front of you and stuff, and I'll go over that in a bit. But yeah, definitely high stress. So another thing they didn't go over, they went over the cost to the company. They didn't say anything about the drivers. I mean, the driver pay needs to be a lot higher than it is right now, and they probably wouldn't have people rushing around to get the maximum amount of hours or the miles, whatever. Takes them to make a paycheck. It's ridiculous, because they make so much money on these loads, and they pay the drivers peanuts, which without the drivers, they're nothing. They can't do anything. And automatic driving technology is not really up to par yet, so that's not going to happen. And even when it does, there's still going to have to be somebody to unload the freight. I mean, so truck drivers aren't going anywhere anytime soon, so the pay needs to be higher. You'll get a lot better employees. You'll get a lot happier employees. You'll have safer employees. Okay? These are the three perks that I can think of right off the top of my head. So it's just a good thing to do. I guess that's about it. I just wanted to kind of touch base with that, and maybe a little bit here on cars versus trucks. I don't know. Most people don't realize it, but trucks don't stop fast at all, okay? People pull out in front of you. If you're one of those people that gets in front of a truck and slams on the brakes or something, you better watch out, because if you're driving with a truck that's fully loaded, it takes a really long time to stop. And if it's not fully loaded, it's even worse, because it's lighter and it just wants to slide. So you're eventually going to get a truck in your rear end of your car. And also goes for people pulling in front of trucks. We have to keep a certain distance in between us, because we know how long it takes to stop. And when you pull in front of a truck, you close that distance instantly. And if something happens, we don't have that barrier anymore of distance. You destroyed that on us if you pull in front of us. So I shouldn't say us anymore. I don't drive anymore. I'm disabled right now. But definitely, it's not a good thing to do. So try to avoid that if you're driving a car, with just more safety for you. I'm just trying to look out for all my viewers and listeners and stuff like that. So, okay, well, that's it. And have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.